Hey there, y'all. Peter Barclay here, host of True North Sports Talk Podcast. We are back. We have our next episode for you, and we have something exciting coming up on June the 4th. So welcome to the podcast, and this is your go-to podcast for all things Canadian sports and all things sports. Now, we've got a massive episode for you today, and we are gearing up for the 2025 Stanley Cup Finals. And we have an exciting rematch for the ages. You have the defending champion in the Florida Panthers, and they are once again taking on the Edmonton Oilers, as mentioned, starting June 4th at Rogers Place in Edmonton. This is the first year of consecutive rematch finals since 08-09, when Pittsburgh and Detroit went back-to-back, and the stakes here couldn't be higher. Last year, the Panthers were able to hang on. They outlasted the Oilers in a 7-game thriller. They won that Game 7, 2-1, and they were able to claim their first ever in franchise history Stanley Cup. Edmonton at one point was down 3-0 and fought back to force Game 7 in that series, but they just weren't able to seal the deal. Now this year, the Oilers have the home ice advantage. They finished the year off with 101 points in the regular season, and that topped the Florida Panthers, who finished off with 98, and they are hungry for revenge in Edmonton. And in a sense, now that they're the only Canadian team left, all of Canada wants this. Because for Canada, this is more than just about the Edmonton Oilers. We haven't had a cup north of the border here in 32 years. It's the longest Stanley Cup drought in Canada. And the last one that Canada was able to win was in 1993 with the Montreal Canadiens, that famous year where the NHL made sure that Mr. Gretzky got past the Leafs with that famous high stick so that it wasn't an all-Canadian final and that they actually had a chance for an American to win. So the question now becomes, can this generation's Wayne Gretzky and Connor McDavid, who is ironically with the Oilers, finally bring the cup back up here north of the border? So today, what are we going to be talking about? Well, we're going to break down both teams we got here. We're going to analyze key matchups. We're going to take a look at predictions. I hate predictions, but we'll make them anyway. And we'll see who's going to lift that cup sometime near the end of June. And we'll see how deep we think this series is going to go. So we've got a lot to dive into. We got a lot to cover. And so let's get right to it. So, initially we're going to take a look at how each team got to where they are in the Stanley Cup Final. So let's start by looking at how these teams punched their tickets to the 2025 Stanley Cup Final. Both the Panthers and the Oilers, they've been through a battle. They've been through 7-game series, but their journeys reveal a lot about the strengths and their vulnerabilities, because neither one has looked perfect in getting to this point. The Edmonton Oilers were the Pacific Division's number 3 seed, and with 101 points, had a shaky start to the first round against the Los Angeles Kings. They dropped the first 2 games of that series, 6-5 and 6-2, exposing some defensive cracks. After that, they were able to rally, winning 4 straight, including an overtime thriller in Game 4 thanks to Leon Draisaitl. In the second round, they faced the Golden Knights. They won that series in 5 games, but 2 of those victories were going to overtime, and that kind of showed their clutch factor a little bit. McDavid sealed the deal in the series with a Game 5 goal for a 6-3 win, and the Western Conference Final was a rematch with the Dallas Stars. And Edmonton beat them last year in 6 games. This time they made a little bit quicker work of Dallas, winning in 5 games, and over those 5 games, they outscored Dallas 13-2 over the last 3 of those games. McDavid's been a force in the playoffs for Edmonton, as you would expect. He has 17 points so far, and the Oilers' depth has also stepped up to help support him. Corey Perry, the seasoned vet, remember back in 2007 he won the Cup with the Anaheim Ducks, so he has experience on his side. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he's been around for quite a while with Edmonton now, and he's chipped in 7 goals against Vegas. And also, as I have witnessed myself over the period of this playoffs, one of the key questions going in was going to be whether Stuart Skinner could hold up. His goaltending has been a question for years, but for whatever reason in the playoffs, he all of a sudden shows up. And so that's one of the actual bright spots in Edmonton over the course of the playoffs. Not only the defense in front of Stuart Skinner, but the fact that he has gotten stronger as the days and the games and each round goes by. So let's take a look at the Florida Panthers. They were, ironically, the number 3 seed, same as Edmonton, in the Atlantic Division, so that's the east side of things, and they had 98 points, and they have been a bit more of a juggernaut throughout the playoffs. They started a first round series with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they won their first round in 5 games. And then they faced their toughest opponent so far in the playoffs. And here in the east coast of Canada, that was a bit of a sore spot, as it was the Toronto Maple Leafs in the second round again. The Leafs jumped out to a 2-0 lead in that series. The Panthers rallied, and they won 3 games straight, including an overtime thriller in Game 3. And they closed out the series in 7 games. So it means the Leafs came back. They won another game after that initial 3. But Game 7, my gosh, they just did not show up. It was a 6-1 victory. And then they got to the Eastern Conference Finals. And on the other side, I truly thought it was going to be a more difficult series, as Carolina had looked so good getting to where they were. Florida's depth is very deep. They have 17 skaters that have scored in the playoffs. They lead the postseason with 812 hits, and they always play a heavy game. So that's no surprise from even a casual observer that this Florida team is not easy to play against. Their forecheck is hard, it hurts, it wears you down. So that will be something to see whether Edmonton can withstand that. Sergei, Bobrovsky, they have had the opposite issue in their goaltending than Edmonton. He has been the strength of their defense. He's stepped up at big times. Early in the Toronto series for about 2.5 games, he finally looked a little bit like there might be some cracks in the armor. And then he just poured it on. He's gone 12-5. He has a 2.11 goals against average. And he has 3 shutouts in the playoffs. So here's where we get a little bit skeptical. Edmonton's early struggles against the Kings showed some defensive issues that Florida's forecheck, and as we just mentioned, it's a heavy forecheck, they could exploit it like they did last year. And Florida's Game 7 win over Toronto was impressive, but they needed 7 games to beat the Leafs. That has historically, and we all know it here in this side of the country, they have struggled, and certain players on their team that are very prominent just don't seem to show up in the playoffs. So if they could take the Panthers to 7, we can see. So that brings questions as to whether the Panthers are as dominant as their stats suggest, or are they riding momentum? And could that momentum falter against a motivated and very, we'll see, will they come out of the gate strong? That Oilers team, they want that cup real bad after getting there last year. Edmonton showed a lot more maturity, a lot more calmness this year, and we'll see how they can ride that into the next stage of the playoffs, being the Stanley Cup Finals. Will that maturity prove itself? Will Stuart Skinner continue to play at the level he's played at for 3 rounds? And will they be able to ride their momentum and come out on top for the Stanley Cup? So that's going to be the question. Whose momentum is going to give first? Who's going to punch first? Who's going to hit first? And with Tkachuk on the Florida Panthers, you can imagine they're going to try swinging first. And Marchand as well. There's some key guys on that Florida team that have so much Stanley Cup Finals experience. So, this series here is a clash of the Titans. And there's some key matchups. So we're going to look at the key matchups here in this series. And these matchups may be the very well deciding factor in this series. And again, you'll have lines at the top like McDavid and Draisaitl. They'll be going up against Barkov and Reinhart. McDavid and Draisaitl are the leaders in points in the playoffs so far, with 26 and 25 points respectively. McDavid's 17 points in the conference finals, they rank 7th in Oilers history. Draisaitl's two-way play, meaning he plays in front of the net and plays defense a lot, that's being crucial. On the other side though, Florida's Barkov and Sam Reinhart are elite two-way threats. Barkov has 17 points in 17 games, and Reinhart's 3 goals against Dallas in the 2024 Global Series, they show he can have dominant moments at big times. So last year, McDavid controlled the play against Barkov 5-on-5, but the Panthers broke even in the scoring. So Florida's physicality is going to be key, as we mentioned, 812 hits this postseason, and that could wear down Edmonton's Stars, especially with Zach Hyman out due to an upper body injury that he got in Game 4 against Dallas. Hyman was one of the more rugged players that Edmonton had to offer with 111 hits, and his absence is going to be a big blow. Guys like Evander Kane are going to have to step up. Corey Perry are going to have to step up in his place. A key moment or a key matchup that we've already mentioned here is Stuart Skinner and Sergei Bobrovsky. Skinner has been lights out since that first 2 games against the Kings, 6-2 with a 1.73 goals against average and a .931 save percentage since May the 10th. Bobrovsky has been just about as good over that same period of time. His numbers are a bit lower after the win totals. He's 7-2. He has a 134 goals against average and a .944 save percentage. He also has 2 shutouts. His cup-winning experience may give him a bit of a mental edge, but Skinner's home ice at Rogers Place, where the Oilers are 6-1 in the playoffs, could level the playing field. And Skinner's desire to prove that he is not just a fluke, that he is a number 1 goalie and someone not to be trifled with, as he's gotten his team to the finals 2 years in a row. His mentality could be just what Edmonton needs to get to the promised land. Edmonton's power play has been lethal, so staying out of the box is going to be key for the Florida Panthers. 36.4% since Game 1 against Dallas. They've scored 4 goals in their last 3 games. But Florida's penalty kill is the second best in the playoffs at 89.5%. And their power play is not far behind the Edmonton Oilers at 23.3%. So the Oilers need to play discipline. They need to keep themselves out of the box, and they need to win that special teams battle to offset that heavy style of play and the physical edge that most would give to Florida. Last year, Florida's forecheck was very disruptive to Edmonton's rhythm early in that series, but we're questioning that narrative of Florida's depth that makes them unbeatable. Edmonton's 5-on-5 play has been stellar. They've outscored opponents this postseason at a 42-26 clip in 5-on-5 hockey. So again, they have to stay disciplined. Don't take penalties if you can help it. And I mean, penalties happen in every series. You can't avoid it. But be smart. Try not to take the stupid penalty at a stupid moment. That's the key. And if they can handle Florida's forecheck and keep the game at even strength, they may be able to flip that script this year and bring that cup home here north of the border to Canada. So, where do we turn next year? We're going to take a look at some X factors, some intangibles, and we're going to look at some dark horses maybe that we are going to need, or that every series has. And so that's the thing, is that these X factors, they can swing the series either one way or the other. They can change momentum. And so we're going to look at a few from both teams. We're going to start out in Edmonton with Mattias Ekholm. His return in Game 5 against Dallas proved to be huge in that series. He played 23 minutes and 40 seconds in Game 6 after missing most of the postseason with a lower body injury. So he brings a stabilizing factor to that blue line that struggled early against the Kings. His presence could neutralize some of Florida's forecheck, which is noted is relentless. So you have Lusternen, Lundell, and Brad Marchand that combined for 15 points against Toronto. So you're going to have to find a way to neutralize those guys. Hyman's absence really hurts, could be an X factor in a negative way. His 16 goals that led the playoffs last year in 2024. And without him, Edmonton's depth scoring it takes a hit. It's not entirely gone, but it's not what it would have been if he was there. Aaron Ekblad has been a revelation, and his highlights, dynamic play, 3 goals and 11 points in 13 games, making up for the loss of Brandon Montour from the past run, and Ekblad's 3 assists against Edmonton in the regular season show that he can handle their speed. But can he contain the biggest X factor in the series in Connor McDavid one-on-one? Some intangibles. Edmonton has that revenge factor. They've been working towards this rematch since losing Game 7 last year. And McDavid's Four Nations Face-Off Championship goal with Canada, that golden goal, just adds to his momentum coming into the series. But Florida, that bunch down there is a resilient bunch, and their resilience is unmatched. They've reached the finals now 3 straight years, and their all-business approach makes them a mental fortress, meaning they know what it takes. They know what to do. And that's the thing. Edmonton learned that last year. And so we'll see. It'll be a mental battle, that's for sure. The Panthers also have a chip on their shoulder as defending champs, looking to repeat, and a feat only 9 franchises in NHL history have ever achieved. Some concerns. Edmonton's home ice advantage gives them games 1, 2, 5, and 7. And Florida's won their last 5 road playoff games, outscoring opponents 27-7. So that's either a good thing for Edmonton, meaning that Florida hasn't played in that building yet in the playoffs this year, and that building is loud and proud, to say the least. So they will be on Florida from the beginning. Florida doesn't seem to mind that attitude from opposing fan bases, because Toronto's fan base was super loud throughout that series, as was Carolina and Tampa Bay. So the fact that they seem to be unruffled by that, given 4 games in Edmonton's building, that could work real hard against the Edmonton Oilers. They have to find a way to give Florida a road loss in this playoffs. If the Panthers steal Game 1, hopefully that will not give Edmonton a hit to their confidence. So Edmonton's trick is they're going to have to punch first, swing first, and make sure that they don't get off to a slow start in the series like they did last year. Alright guys, it's that dreaded prediction time, and based on what we saw last year, this series is a bit of a coin toss, based on the revenge factor, the experience factor that both teams have, and a lot of people who are looking at this series are kind of split on who they're picking. Some pick the Panthers to repeat, some pick the Oilers to get their revenge and bring that cup back north of the border. Fans are buzzing about the storylines and the rematch of last year's thriller. So Florida's quest to go back-to-back and Edmonton's chance to end Canada's 32-year cup drought. I mean, for me, being up here in Canada, I'm a bit torn. I don't know what's going to happen here. As a Canadian, I'm definitely cheering for Edmonton. But looking at it objectively, this is going to be a very difficult series. So Edmonton's 5-on-5 dominance and home ice advantage give them an edge. Hyman's injury is going to be a serious blow to them. Florida's physicality, it's hard to ignore. I think McDavid and Draisaitl need to and will rise to the occasion. I'm going to go out on a limb, say Edmonton in 7, with McDavid taking the Conn Smythe, just like he did in a losing effort last year. And up here in Canada, we're calling for an end to the drought and the Oilers to get their name on the cup for the first time since 1990. Understandably though, Florida is no pushover. Their depth, their goaltending and playoff experience, that could easily see them repeat. Bobrovsky, Barkov, those are some Conn Smythe favorites heading into the series. They're favorites for a reason. So what do you guys think? Let us know. Will Edmonton get their revenge, or will Florida double up on their cup haul? If you're looking to watch the games, head over to Sportsnet and Sportsnet Plus. Catch Game 1 on June 4th at 8 p.m. and follow along with us. We're on Spotify, YouTube, Rumble. Share your predictions. Use hashtags on those platforms of True North Sports Talk. We want to hear from you. Can the Oilers bring the cup back to Canada? Or will the Panthers reign supreme? And will it continue? So let's find out together, guys. Until next time, Peter Barclay here, your host of True North Sports Talk, signing off. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that we can continue bringing content. Go Oilers, and we will see you on the next podcast.